Perfectly excellent.
Hey, how's it going, party people? Welcome to Perfectly Excellent, where we're going to talk about some things. We didn't have an episode, a show. I don't know what you call these things, but whatever this is, we didn't do one last week.
I like episodes.
Because we sort of kind of got up to that point where it's like, we don't have our stuff together enough to do this episode justice. This was a really big one that we've been talking about for weeks, and we didn't want to do it in a half-assed sort of way. So we opted to skip a week so that we could really prepare for this one. And I think it's going to be about the same as every other one we've ever done.
Yeah. And I feel like this is one that if we kept giving more and more time, like my list, or it might just keep evolving because there's things that I'll keep thinking about. But yeah. I don't want to get too into it for yet, because there's a lot I want to set up for this episode. But you want to exchange inventions first?
Yeah, let's do some invention exchanging, and then we're going to talk about some records, which I love talking about records. But let's start up.
Perfectly excellent.
And it's time for the invention exchange, where we show off a recent acquisition. Have you acquired something recently?
I have something that I had marked for cancellation, and another one of those that kind of snuck through, and I'm glad it did. You know, a lot of times you pre-order things, you know the drill. Like this will come out in 5 years. You're like, oh, let me pre-order it, and then I'll decide within the next 5 years if I want it. And sometimes you pre-order things and you just kind of forget about it.
Yeah, it happens. That will happen.
Yes, that will happen. So this one, I guess I'm going first because you have a really good one. So I'll go.
I have one that I'm very excited about. Nobody else will probably care, but I'm very happy about it.
All right. This is the real Ghostbusters. Peter Venkman from what is it, Mondo? Right? It is Mondo.
Yeah, that's a big lower. Yeah. In a little bit more. Yes, lower. Yeah, no, lower. But yes. So the reflection's kind of wonky, but
it is. Yeah, I haven't taken him out of the box yet. As you can see, he's still in the box. But yeah, this is a doozy. This thing showed up. I'm like, wow, that is gigantic.
That is long.
It is long. It is definitely long. Very, very cool packaging.
Yeah.
This box will be a curse because this is kind of one that I might have
going nowhere. Yeah.
But yeah,
especially when you have 4 of them.
No. See, that's the thing. And that was why this was destined for cancellation, because I knew obtaining the set was going to be cost prohibitive for me.
Yeah. Well, they just put out they just showed the Ray one finally, and
which looks really good.
Ray's looking good.
Yeah.
Looking good, Ray.
Yeah, feeling good, Billy Ray. I don't know. I think this one will be a lot of fun because it comes with Slimer. And out of all the Hasbro Ghostbuster stuff, the only Slimer they released, correct me if I'm wrong, was with the Ecto-1. They did not release a Slimer for the Plasma series at all, which is kind of I don't think, though, that they actually released any ghosts now that I think about it for the
Plasma series. I don't. Well, unless you count the dog.
Are those ghosts?
No, but
I have the librarian from an older set, and she was one of the main things that was coming with the Ecto-1 that was tugging at me.
Yeah,
but I did not back that. So,
well, I was thinking about the real Ghostbusters figures just a couple days ago because I've been doing a massive kind of redo of the collection. I was thinking about those because you actually have mine or had mine. I don't know.
No, I still do. They you'll see in the back of my photos when I need just random people. They tend to go in there a lot.
Yeah, so you have mine, and I've just been thinking about them, and the Mondo things have kind of been in my face, yeah, those are kind of cool. But as you mentioned, cost prohibitive, probably not something I can acquire. Although, again, I'm rethinking some things, and I want to have a broader conversation about collecting and changes you do when collecting things, because I'm going through a big one right
Yeah,
now.
I feel like you're going through like collecting menopause right now. You're like,
No. I'm going through collecting puberty right now.
oh, you are really again.
Yeah, like
and
now I'm ready.
Again.
I am ready to collect like a man now.
Wow. Okay. It's been child's play up to this point.
Yeah, now I'm ready. Now
right.
I figured it out. After all this time, I figured it out.
All right. Yeah, I would like to talk about this because again, I'm evolving and just rethinking a lot of purchasing and you've been paring down and I want to check in on that because I need to do the same. But
yeah.
All right. So collecting puberty conversation coming up. It's a good one. Bring all the kids.
Bring all the kids. So my invention exchange is absolutely not paring down. It's very much pairing up. So it is McDonald's related.
Ooh,
and
exciting.
You may remember that when I was showing some slides of the McDonald's stuff, I credited an account called Consumer Time Capsule.
Okay.
Who posts just like awesome McDonald's related stuff. Like he's a monster McDonald's collector. Collection I'm extremely envious of. Although if I had it, I would probably end up divorced. So, but it's inspiring to look at.
There's a fine line there to stay married and collecting.
So he is selling some things, I believe mostly duplicates and whatnot. But he put a couple things up on eBay and I followed one of them. And then like the day after it, he posted, "Hey, I'm selling some stuff," and posted a link to it. So I'm like, oh, nah, that's going to get expensive now because now all of his followers are going to see that stuff's up online. And I just sort of mentioned that to him on Blue Sky. He said, "Oh, get in touch with me. I have another one. We can probably work something out."
And
so we worked something out.
Oh boy, what do we got here? I can't wait to see. Wow, that is unbelievable. Is that in the original frame, or is he had?
No, I bought the frame, but this.
Oh, you reframed this. That looks like an immaculate condition.
This is the Translite, which was the backlit advertisement that hung up on top of the menu board when they would do Happy Meal promotions.
That's now. How old is this thing?
This is from 1982. So
that
this is 43 years old.
I can feel that plastic, that thin, like cheap plastic in my hands. That is sensational.
So, as we mentioned on the McDonald's show, this was my first Happy Meal. This is probably what like kickstarted my love for like McDonald's stuff when I was a kid. And these things, while I see them from time to time, they're big because a lot of people don't know this isn't like a little toy. This is like
this is a container.
This is a foot wide thing that held your food. It opened up and your burger and fries were in it. Mm-hmm. So for me to collect all four of these, technically 16, but to collect all four designs, this would take up a lot of space. I don't really have space for that. But this fits nicely up. I mean, I had to rearrange some stuff because my wall space is also a little confusing sometimes. But I made room for this. This is right over my desk now, and I could not be more excited that I have this in my collection.
I mean, $1.80 with cheeseburger is
So just thrilled.
Yes.
Thrilled to have that.
Good job. And is there more coming from this individual?
No, he offered. He goes, "Oh, I have a spreadsheet of 180 of these. Let me know what other ones you want." And I'm like, no, I can't do any more.
You weren't even tempted to look, or?
I know the other ones I'd want.
And
I can't. I don't have room. I don't have room. My wife does not share my love of McDonald's. She's exceedingly patient with the amount of stuff that I already have. I can't do it. I don't have the wall space in here because almost everything in here is shelves.
What is McDonald's like? I don't know. Is McDonald's collecting like there's a community, right? Like anything in the world. So you got to fight tooth and nail to get that stuff. Like
And I got it for a little more than half the cost that the one he was auctioning sold for, which was in better condition than this one. This one is in really nice shape, but there's like a little like crease at one of the top corners and nothing that bothers me. But the other one was like, and there are pinholes in the corner, but
hey, on the webcam it looked exquisite. It looked
it on my wall. It also looks exquisite. So.
Yeah. Good find. I could feel the happiness emanating from you on that one. I even felt a pinch of it too, just looking at that. Because again, I remember the taking the tops off. And
I took it off the wall to show in here, but it's been up for a few days, and every time I walk into my office, I'm like,
And you said the actual Happy Meal, those spaceships you can find from time to time on eBay, because I imagine they would be obliterated with time.
Yeah, no, I've seen them often enough, but the problem is each of the 4 molds came in 4 different colors. And I would want one of each mold in one color, like in a different color. Like
so
I don't want 16
that's like a cabinet dedicated to
I don't want 16 of them, but I want 4 of them. And finding 4 different ones, like 4 different molds, 4 different colors, that's challenging. And again, they're big. They're like this big. I can't do
Bravo. I think the poster is the way to go. That looks great.
It's a translite. It's not a poster.
We need a way to like some kind of rating for our invention exchanges. Like this is because this was 5 out of 5 inventions or whatever.
Yeah. No, this is one of the cooler things that I've gotten my hands on. I'm very excited about it.
Okay, cool. Good job.
All right, but now we need to talk about the main event here. So let me click a button and then
Let me clear my throat.
Perfectly excellent.
This was your idea.
This was, and I wonder if the word influential is a little misleading because it's more impactful, right? The idea of this was, I started thinking about just how amazing our lives have been, like how little, just how like chance events or something that kind of changes the direction of your life, the focus, and again, we spent a lot of time running around like in the 90s collecting records and things like that, and I started to think back, like where was it that like our musical influences or whatever, something put us on the track, or the path that we're on now. So again, not necessarily our favorite albums or our favorite records of all times, but a record that impacted your life where without it, you could have possibly gone in a different direction or things wouldn't have happened. So that's how I kind of looked at this. How about you?
Sort of the same, but I do think that's influential. Like I tried to think of the things that either led me to different places, led me to different genres, led me to different habits as far as one of them goes. I had a really, really, really challenging time because I can think of so many records that popped up and just sent me down like a path that I probably wouldn't have gone down otherwise. So it was really hard to kind of pick the 5 that really are the ones. And we're going to go through these chronologically. However, I need to do a caveat because at the end, I'm doing it chronologically based on my finding of the record, not necessarily when the record came out, because at the end they're switched.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to see how this conversation goes because a lot of this leads into one another. Like you joked that I was like, Charlie, like mapping things out with the red lines. And that's not a joke. That's exactly how I was doing it because I would pick the album and I realized, well, that album wasn't necessarily what got me there. Like what got me to that album. And it was, I would have to go like upstream, like a step or two to figure things out. And I'm sure there's so many things I'm forgetting along the way, but I'm feeling good with the list that I have for today.
Yeah, I feel good with my list too. I would bet $1 billion there is no overlap on this list between the two of us.
Yes, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing that I find most fascinating about this is you and I ended up in a extremely similar place. Like musically, as far as what our taste is, the sort of things that we ended up liking. So we took very divergent paths to get to a similar place, but it's very amusing. And I know one of the things we're going to end up talking about is people, because people are very influential as far as discovering things or the people you meet from discovering things. And it's a really interesting path, and I'm curious how. I don't have notes. I didn't write anything down. I have my records with me, and I sort of know in my head where they took me. So I'm curious, like, what we're going to end up talking about when we get into it, because I only have a very loose framework. Because when I tried to like really think about it, I would just frustrate myself going, no, but I want that record, and no, I want that record, and no, I want that record. I'm like, no, I have my 5. I'm sure we'll talk about other records and other places that we ended up going. But I tried to keep it a little loose, because otherwise I was worried that I would keep myself awake like you seem to be doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I'm looking at my short list right now, and I got it down to 25 records. And then from there, I had to really pick the 5. But again, and I know you said no honorable mentions.
Yep.
I have one teed up in case.
Nope.
But yeah,
we can talk about other records, because again, when you start down a path, you find other things, and we can talk about those other things. But I think that so it doesn't get out of control, and to kind of give this episode some structure, I feel like we got to stick with the 5.
No, and I appreciate that, yes, because this could go wild. And what I tried to do is really, when I got down to 25, I had to figure out, like, how do I really figure out, like, how do I carve this up? So I have, like, on my list here, I called like a little phase thing, and I'll explain that more as we go through.
Yeah, and anyone watching, jump in, comment, let us know what albums really got to you, or if you see one of our albums and go, oh, that's wrong.
Yeah, and again, I want to caveat this again, not necessarily our favorite albums, but albums that did something to us in our lives that sent us on a journey.
These are,
and records. I shouldn't say albums, records.
No, yeah, albums is fine. Albums is
fine.
Oh,
you're gonna get mad at me.
So. I'm not gonna get mad at you. Albums is totally acceptable.
Well, it's not albums. It's not right. I need some leeway.
Yeah, albums, records. I'm fine with any of them. But yeah, these are not necessarily like, I love most of these records, but there's a couple on here where it's like, these were important, but if I'm like ranking my top X records, these wouldn't get a whiff of that list.
Okay. We're beating around the bush. Should we dive in? Should we get started?
Let's start with you, because I want to see where you want to take the conversation.
I want to take the conversation back to 1983.
83. Okay.
83. And this is when I talked about the phases and all of that. This is the first record that I got, that I can remember at least, that I played over and over and over. Memorize this. Like, this was my absolute favorite thing to listen to. And I'll go into it while I talk about it. So I still have my actual one that I got, and it's not a record. It's actually a cassette.
Okay.
And you could say clearly labeled as Rappaport. So I didn't lose it. When I brought it into music class in 3rd grade, our music teacher invited everyone to bring in a song to class to play. Now, lo and behold, I brought this tape in and I played the Tiki Room. I was laughed at.
You should tell everyone what that tape is, because you can't really see it when you're holding it up.
Oh, sorry. So this is here. The tape came with a booklet. This is the official album of Disneyland and Walt Disney World. It's a souvenir album. This is what I had. The booklet that came with it, it has pictures and lyrics of all the attractions. It's got music from all the different rides. Like I said, the Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Tiki Room, the Hall of Presidents. This was something that I listened to on my whatever Walkman I had at the time, just over and over and over again. Actually, funny enough, on this tape, I accidentally recorded over a second of it when I was however old. So you can hear little old me, my voice on there. I should make an MP3 of it. My mom like yelling at me or something. But again,
so anyway, you bring it to school because
were you ever asked to bring music to school at all?
Not when I was a little kid. No.
Okay. So this is probably should have been my first hint that like what music that I'm going to like over my lifespan is going to be different from everybody else. Because I brought my orange cassette in, super excited to play the Tiki Room, and everybody else is bringing in these, fancy cassettes of popular like rock songs and hit music like that. So I was definitely laughed at when I played my Tiki Roo song. Everybody mocked it. I think I was super, super embarrassed at the time. But again, that was the start for me. This was my record. And even to this day, I've collected every iteration that Disney has released of their official albums.
Mm-hmm.
So I have every single one. Obviously, I have this on vinyl. I have it on CD, like a Japanese import of the CD. Just something that I could still listen to and still enjoy, even to this day. So this was my first.
All right. Well, I'm going to start the same way because this was my first, and I'm going to go back to 1978 or perhaps 79.
Okay.
This is not going to be a surprise to anyone who knows me.
Yes.
This is the Blues Brothers record, Briefcase Full of Blues. This is my copy. This is my childhood copy, which, you know, is all beat up and whatever.
It's well loved.
It doesn't even have an inner sleeve. It's just the vinyl is just
it's just raw. It's just a raw record in there. Amazing.
Yeah. But and like obviously I could have fixed that at some point, but I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like I need to keep it the way it always was. Mm-hmm. So this is the first musical thing that I remember ever existing. Like the other records I had at this time was like I had like the Disney disco record with Macho Duck on it.
Oh yes.
And I had the Chipmunk Punk record where they're covering like Tom Petty and the Knack and stuff like that. But that record, and specifically the song Rubber Biscuit, I would not be the human being I am today without that record, because that record also leads me directly to the movie, which I don't remember it, but my mom took me to see that in the theater in 1980 when I was 3 years old, because I was obsessed with the Blues Brothers at that age. So and that's the only favorite movie I've ever known. I've never had another favorite movie.
Since the entire time I've known you, it's like never wavered.
It's just always been my thing. And it's turned me like it's responsible for so much. Like it's responsible for me going back and like learning about old soul music, old Stax stuff, Otis Redding, Wilson Pickett, Booker T and the MGs, like that kind of stuff. It's really where my affinity for bands with horns started, which carries over through the rest of my life. Like some of my favorite bands.
That makes a lot of sense now.
The bands have horns in them. So this was really big for me. Like you, this was my first, but it also profoundly influenced where I was going. And also, like you, this was not something the other kids were listening to.
Yeah.
And as I got older, it took a while before I started listening to anything really that was current, because after the Blues Brothers, the main thing I listened to for most of my childhood was Weird Al. And I don't have a Weird Al record. I'm not putting him in this list because that was a large chunk of my childhood, but I don't feel like it inspired as much as it was inspired by the Blues Brothers, because the Blues Brothers also, there's the humor and the music kind of together, and I think that led me to Al. I don't think Al brought me anywhere
again, and that was the challenge of all of this, right? Like, you know, no offense to Al, as weird as he is. Cool. Yeah, and again, like your Blues Brothers, my Disney record, I should have said too, it also like it was the first time I think I connected like emotionally with like music, because this reminded me like of being at Disney World. Like I felt those same kind of feelings, and you just kind of close your eyes and listen to it, and it was at the time the only way to like bring that kind of feeling home. So interesting. Great start there. Like
yeah. All right, what do you got for number 2? How far are we moving into the future? We
are now 1989.
Okay.
All right, so I had an older brother, and you talk to people, like you said before, there's always that influence in your life when it comes to music or something. My older brother was not a musical influence. He liked Motley Crue and lots of glam metal. He played drums and things like that. And I guess I listened to some of it, but it just wasn't me, like wasn't my sound. And then I started, like, I got into like BMX bikes, and then I got into skateboarding. And then 1989, and again, I need leeway here because this little nugget drops. So this is Streets on Fire, Santa Cruz skate video.
Okay.
And this, when I talk about phases, this was my sound. It had a soundtrack of Descendants, Black Flag, like all of the ST bands, Husker Du, like all of this music on here. And that's when I first heard something that was like that spoke to me, right? Like I just absolutely fell in love with this. Minutemen, I'm trying to think what else was on here, maybe even Dinosaur Jr. And then like all skate videos just became super inspirational. Like I have, you know, again, just show and tell here. This is a soundtrack for all the 8th Street skate videos. But this is where I found like my sound, the like music that like awakened something in me. Right. And it's funny because I was listening to, you know, everything on here. I loved it. And I mentioned Descendants to my high school girlfriend at the time. And she's like, oh, you know, my sister's boyfriend gave me a whole thing of tapes. And there's a bunch of Descendants tapes in there. And I was like, what? You got to be kidding me. Because originally when we talked about it, I thought the Descendants All album was going to be like, that was the influential one. But I realized it was the skate video that led me to the Descendants. But yeah, she gave me all of these tapes. And that sister's boyfriend is going to come back as far as, as someone who like was a huge influence on me musically. But again, skate videos even went on too, like bands like the Odd Numbers. Like this is pre-internet days. So how do you even find out this stuff? But Odd Numbers were a band that were in a skate video. You know, Descendants were gone at this point, but bands like All were still around. And then like within those next few years, going to see them play, they toured with like Bad Religion, and they found out things like 7 Seconds. So this was my sound phase where I'm starting to find like my niche, or what's, you know, music that's working for me. So again, technically not an album, but it's really plays like a mixtape, like our compilation of just bands that I had never heard before and completely blew me away.
All right. Well, that's obviously your first steps into the punk rock stuff. So that's also kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to 1990 and I'm not going to punk rock. And this
Where record, are you going?
I'm going to hip hop.
Yes.
And this record is not probably in my top 80 hip hop records, but I would not have ever found anything else if it wasn't for Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J.
So what was it about this one that pulled you in?
So the song Mama Said Knock You Out.
Yes.
That's kind of the first time that any modern music made any sense to me at all, because I didn't have, you know, I am the older brother, so I didn't have anything like that. And the other kids
influence. Did you influence?
Yeah, very much.
Okay. So. Job well done.
Very much so. But the other kids my age, they were listening to like Guns N' Roses and things like that. And I didn't like that stuff at all. Like it didn't make sense to me. It just sounded just very, I still feel this way. I think it sounds really self-indulgent and really just like long and unnecessarily complicated. Like I just didn't like it. But Mama Said Knock You Out, it's just that one drum beat, that sample of a Funky Drummer, that James Brown sample, that one drum beat, the whole song, minimal bass, just that backing vocal thing. And then he's just like so full of energy and passion. And it just blew my mind when I heard it.
You were knocked out.
I was knocked out. And I wanted more of that.
Okay.
So that's why I started watching Yo MTV Raps, to try to see that video more. And as I started watching Yo MTV Raps, that's when I started learning, like early on, like 1990, 1991. That's when I started learning about the Boogie Down Productions, Public Enemy, like that kind of stuff. And for the next like 4 years, well, I guess if you count 1995, because basically up until 1994-ish, like hip hop was like my thing. Like that golden era of early 90s hip hop, it's still super, super important to me. Anyone who ever looks at my website knows that on every Wednesday I review an old hip hop record.
Yeah.
And like so much of that stuff is so incredibly important to me. And like discovering Tribe Called Quest, discovering Souls of Mischief, The Far Side, Gangstar, EPMD, and then, the high watermark of the second Del the Funky Homo Sapien record, which is still my absolute favorite hip hop record. But in some ways, it kind of ruined it because like it was never going to get any better than that record. Like that was the pinnacle. Like nothing I ever heard after that was as good as that. And then towards the end of 1994, the sound of hip hop started changing dramatically. Like a lot of it was fueled by the Dr. Dre record, The Chronic, which I bought the day it came out in a long box.
The long boxes.
But I didn't really like that record. I thought it was really kind of slow, and I didn't think it was as good as his NWA stuff. But that record was so popular and sold so many copies that a lot of sound-alike stuff started getting signed. And like, in my opinion, it just got really watered down and the sound started moving to much slower stuff. And I liked the more energetic stuff, the more upbeat stuff, the more aggressive stuff. So like by 1994, it's changed in a way that I wasn't really down with. And that will lead to my next one.
Fascinating. Yeah, that's amazing. Like, again, like you said, like, for skateboarding, I don't know where I would have gone like to discover music, but you got knocked out. LL Cool J just spoke to you.
The funny thing is, I also have no idea how I heard it because I lived in a very rural part of New Jersey. We literally didn't get radio stations. It wasn't. This is funny. Here's another hip hop thing. What I actually figured out somehow, I wanted to listen to more rap. And I realized that if we spliced off my cable that goes to the TV, we put a splicer on it and we fed it into my stereo, and I was suddenly able to get the New York radio station. So I was able to listen to I was able to listen to the Cool DJ Red Alert show and stuff like that. But that wasn't until, like maybe 92 or something like that. So I literally have no idea how I heard Mama Said Knock You Out for the first time because I didn't listen to the radio because I didn't have it. And I didn't really watch MTV because I mostly didn't like the stuff that was on it.
Yeah. Amazing, right? Just like that. And that's why I think that talking about this stuff is so cool because just whatever that chance was that you were in the right place and it was playing, like that changed your life, right?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Cool. And again, one of the other things that I learned from hip hop is that's also the foundation for a lot of my morals and political beliefs. Were kind of gained from learning about that kind of through that stuff when I was younger, because it exposed me to a world that like I didn't know anything about at all. Sure. And it taught me a lot about empathy that I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I think I'm just sort of like that anyway, but it's like bedrock.
Help you realize what that actually those feelings were. I'm sure they were in you, and now
it's very much bedrock of like kind of defining like my moral character in a way.
Again, I see that. I think it makes total sense. I think again, same thing on my side of the street when I was growing up. You're skateboarding very, very diverse, very kind of punk and underground, and like F the man and all of that. It kind of like you fight for the underdogs, but
again, that is a core thing of hip hop. And the other thing about hip hop, which I have a feeling we'll probably end up talking about this a little bit, that was really like ingrained in me, which served me well in my early punk rock days as well, is the no sellout thing. Because that is big in that era of hip hop. That is big, and that really informed a lot of like how I thought about that kind of stuff.
Interesting. Fascinating.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready to jump
I'm
ahead?
Curious, though, like we don't talk about it a whole lot. And I know you kind of dabbled in it a little bit, but like nothing about like hip hop ever really kind of grabbed you, huh?
No, again, I think between like 83 and 89, I don't know what year things came out. The only other, like as I was doing this, the only other album that came up that I had in like constant rotation was the Ghostbusters soundtrack. I was really struggling to find things, and then of course there was things like Michael Jackson, the DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, like things like that. But like that was kind of like just what was popular, right? Like I don't know that anything. And I don't get me wrong, I liked it, but it wasn't until like the skateboarding that like something really like clicked with me. Like it was just, again, skateboarding was very kind of raw at the time, and like the punk music that fueled it just felt like, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be, which is funny because that kind of segues into my next one.
Okay.
Because I talked about, the Disney album, that was my first, like,
right.
The first album that I really fell into. The Streets on Fire video and the SST bands, which I actually got to go to the SST office like a million years ago. I was friends with a guy who worked there and meet a lot of like really cool people. That was my sound though, right? Getting into that. And the next one, we're going to jump to 1992. And this phase I'm calling This Is My Scene. All right. So this is the one that you have. If you have that Sinkhole demo handy. All right. Yes, there it is. Which maybe I will get that back from you one day.
Yeah, I don't know. Why would you get? I know you just gave me all of your tapes, but if this is that important, why would you? I
didn't realize at the time. And so let me tell you a story. Remember so I inherited those Descendants tapes from my girlfriend's sister's brother, or not boyfriend, right? Mm-hmm. Which they eventually got married. So I don't know what makes me absolutely nothing. But anyway, that guy, Lenny Splendorio, he ran Buy Our Records, which is a New Jersey punk label. He worked at All Wilk Records in the Morris County Mall, and he got me my first job at a record store there. So I worked with him, and he would get demos sent to him for Buy Our Records, and he would play them in the store and listen to them and throw them out. As again, we could talk about that. That actually comes up again later. And he got sent in 1992-ish this Sinkhole demo, maybe 92, 93. I'm not really sure. So a 4-song demo from a band called Sinkhole. I don't remember if they were from like Boston or where they were from exactly, if it says anything.
For some reason, I thought they were from New Hampshire, but am I confusing them with Doc Hopper?
I think they were one and the same, which is funny. So here, let me tell you. So I got the tape. I don't know if I called them or wrote them a letter like, hey, I like this tape. It's, it was just like scrappy kind of pop punk. And I'm like, do you guys have any more stuff?
The area code is 617, which is mostly a Boston area code, although it might have been different that long ago.
Well, so somehow I'm talking to the guy Elliot from the band. I think that was his name. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll send you a tape of stuff. So I also should say that I was working at All Wilk Records, which was a music store in the mall. And just to set the stage of that, we had a wall of singles. And I think it was the Billboard Top 100 singles. Like we had singles for all that. So one of my responsibilities is I would come in, I would get the new Billboard chart, and I would have to move all the singles around. So we had like whatever 1 to 100 on there. And I got really good at people coming in and singing, oh, you have that song on the radio? Like, yeah, Mama Said Knock You Out, or whatever it was. I'm like, oh, yeah, totally. LL Cool J over here. So I was working there during the day. And then afterwards, I would stop at this record store I found in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, called Flipside Records. And I was just going there and I'd, pick up some like whatever. I don't even know how we found out about bands back then, right? So I would just pick up stuff. And that was kind of my routine. So worked at a record store all day and went and shopped at another record store at night and went home. So Lenny gets this demo at the store and he listens to it. I'm pretty sure he hated it, but I liked it. So I'm like, hey, can I have that? And he's like, yeah, no problem. So I took it. I reached out to the band, whether I called the number or I sent them a letter, as that was like, that's what you did back in the day. You just wrote letters to everybody. And the guy's like, yeah, here, totally. I'll send you a tape. So he sent me a tape with some more Sinkhole songs. And then I think side B was like a mixtape. And I wonder if this is in that box of tapes I gave you.
Yeah, maybe.
I have to look. And there was a band on there called Tree People, which you're very familiar with them. I heard those songs and I was like, just completely rocked my world. Like I had heard nothing like that at all. Like the crazy guitar work, the melodies, just like it was it was like a religious experience for me. I had never experienced anything like that. So after work one day, I go into Flipside and I ask the girl who works there, I'm like, hey, have you ever heard of Tree People? She freaks out. Like, and this is Tracy Wilson. She's like, how on earth have you heard? Do you know this band? Because it was a band that, you know, she was a very big scenester at the time. She was friends with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they were a Seattle-based band. So some kid to walk into a record store in New Jersey and ask about it just like blew her mind. And that was the moment. So Sinkhole Demo leads me to get in touch with the band. They send me a mixtape. I hear Tree People. I go into Flipside. I ask about this band. That changed me from being just some anonymous kid shopping in the store to I had a name at that point, and then that led to like just me basically living in that store until I ended up working there. And I mean, you probably know this more than anyone. That kind of changed the entire direction of my life. I eventually quit All Look Records, started working at Flipside, and that just opened the door to like basically probably one of the best times of my life. Like that's where I met you. So, you know, again, you have changed my life. You know, like we could have an whole episode and debate like it was better or worse. But no, again, I made lifelong friends. I got like involved in the scene, putting on shows, playing in bands. And I don't think that ever would have happened had this demo not led me to Tree People, which then led me to that. Like originally I wanted to put that Tree People, that Guilt, Regret, and Embarrassment on the list, but it wasn't it. It was the Sinkhole tape that got me. But if we ever do our favorite albums of all time, that one is definitely on the list.
Andy Warhol, like that song just kills me. Like
and since we've been doing this, I've been listening to it like again. And it's like everything on it is phenomenal. Like amazing stuff. So that is where that demo left me. So maybe if I get it back from you, I'll have it bronzed or something.
I shouldn't have it. I've never even listened to it. Although that does bring up a point. Like I do think it would be an amusing thing for us to each listen to the other person's top 5. So I will listen to it before I give it back to you.
Okay.
But you should have this. I should not have this record.
Yeah. They did get signed. They put out a record on Doctor Strange, right? Sinkhole, and then Doc Hopper. And then I never knew which one was which.
Wait, wasn't Sinkhole on Wringing Ear?
Or maybe it was Wringing Ear. I don't know. It's been a long time.
Sinkhole was not. Sinkhole and Doc Hopper. Those are two bands that never totally connected with me. Like they were not my flavor at the time. Although I bet you if I go back and listen to them now, I would probably enjoy them a lot more now than I did then, because the competition back then was much more stiff than it is these days, at least for me.
Okay. Well, cool. So that was a big one for me. 1992, 1993. I think my entire life changed. So,
all right. Now we're getting into my life changing, like my second life change. So as I mentioned, hip hop in 1994 was starting to just sort of, it wasn't really doing it for me. You know, I was having a hard time finding new groups. You know, I was watching a lot of Yo MTV Raps. I was listening to the Cool DJ Red Alert show. I was buying issues of The Source at the mall, which was like the hip hop magazine at the time.
Yes.
I was joining Columbia House and I was joining BMG Music Club and just getting as many.
You're like a junkie, like, you know.
Oh, I had this scam where I would subscribe to BMG Music Club, get the CDs, and then what you had to do was you had to buy like however many over the next year. And they put you on like a mailing list. So they would send you something unless you told them, no, I don't want that. Don't send that to me.
Okay.
So what I figured out was if I didn't say anything and they sent me the record and then I wrote return to sender, did not order on it and sent it back to them, if I did that 2 or 3 times, they would just kick me out.
Ah, so
I wouldn't have to buy anything. So then I would join it again and just keep doing the same thing.
You sure you should be saying this on the air? They might come
I think the statute of limitations is probably expired at this point. But that's how I built up a lot of my early hip hop CD collection. And K-Singles is funny because I bought a lot of rap K-Singles back then.
I believe it. I sold a lot of them. So,
you know, like the Cypress Hill and just like all of that stuff.
Yep.
But, you know, again, I was starting to just sort of be like, man, I'm having a tougher time. Like this like Warren G and Nate Dogg stuff that's going on. Like I can't get down with this. This is not.
I'm guessing that was some kind of like.
Regulate, the Regulator song. Regulators, mount up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm like super deprived of a lot of like. I think I'm sheltered in my music, and that's probably the one negative thing about the way I kind of grew up.
Well, I have a lot of that too, but like a lot of that hip hop stuff started on Yo MTV Raps, and then it kind of bubbled up into the real world. You know, like your Black Sheep and like that.
Wait, MTV's the real world?
Yes. MTV, with a Heather B from Boogie Down Productions in the first season, I believe. Oh anyway, so I'm losing interest, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I am driving to the mall with my friend Scott. And it's unusual for me. This is going to be funny for you to hear because it's not unusual for you and I, but I'm a horrible passenger when we drive somewhere. So when I was younger and even today, like I always wanted to drive. Like I like driving. It's the Elwood and the Blues Brothers in me. I want to drive.
Yes.
He was driving to the mall in his black Plymouth Sundance.
Okay.
And he goes, well, I know you like the Beastie Boys. Let me play this for you. There's some stuff on here that kind of sounds like the Beastie Boys.
Interesting.
And he puts on Mellow Gold.
Not at all where I thought this was going from the Beastie Boys, but okay.
So in particular, there's a song on here called Soul Suckin' Jerk, which does actually kind of have that sort of Beastie Boys vibe to it. So he's playing it, and I think he started off with Soul Suckin' Jerk. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is kind of cool. I like the beat. You know, he's singing about weird stuff, which is kind of amusing. But then as like that record goes on, every song is completely different from the song before it. And everything on it is so weird. Like the fact that this record came out on DGC in 1994 and sold like 1 million copies.
That makes no sense.
I even now when I listen to this record, as much as I love it with every fiber of my being, it is the weirdest damn thing that you'd ever listen to.
There was some music fan in there like fighting to get this out, right?
And the second to last song on the record, I don't want to say it because we don't like to curse, but it's called Mother Effer.
Okay.
And
I can infer.
It is loud and abrasive and screaming, and it's like the chorus is, everyone's out to get you, Mother Effer. And it's like, and we're listening to this driving to the Rockaway Mall, and I'm like, I have never heard anything this before in my entire life. What is this? What is happening here? So I got obsessive about it. Now, the thing that was going on with Beck at the time, which I didn't know about until I started digging in, is he was putting out like 1 billion records all at the same time in 1994. He put out a record on Flipside, which is not your Flipside, the store, but Flipside, the record label, called Stereopathetic Soul Manure, which had even weirder stuff on it, like songs like Satan Gave Me a Taco and stuff like that. Okay. He also had this record out on K Records called One Foot in the Grave, which was a really slow acoustic like folk record. He had a bunch of singles. He like all of his B-sides were out of control. Like every single off of Mellow Gold has a whole bunch of B-sides on it. And I needed it all. Like it spoke to me in because like kind of like you said, like when you brought your tape in and you realized that your taste in music wasn't the same as everyone else, or that maybe you were different than other people. Yeah. I had all of that was happening when I was listening to rap, because no one in my school listened to rap. Again, I grew up in a very rural part of Sussex County. No one listened to that. But I've always had a very odd kind of sense of humor and kind of a weird outlook. And like, I've always enjoyed just dumb words and things like that. And this was someone who was just speaking to me in a way that I had never been spoken to before in my entire life. And it is so fundamentally important in my life because it pushes me to start going to independent record stores to try to find other things, because before that I'd only ever gone to like The Wall and Sam Goody and like those kind of places. It pushed me to try to start finding things out on my own, in hip hop you can do some discovery reading like the thank you lists at the and like the album credits, and you kind of can find stuff that way, and you had like the magazines and your MTV Raps, but like I didn't know where to go for like the rock equivalent of that. I had no experience in that. So it got me into independent record stores. It started making me want to find other stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like I can trace Beck into leading me into the John Spencer Blues Explosion, because Beck was, on one of those records and did like a remix for
Your
them.
gateway drug. Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that started happening. And it's a big reason why I ended up at Flipside. And like you said, you became like a person with a name. You've told me that for a while I was the Beck kid, because
you were the Beck kid. Yep.
I didn't have a name because I hadn't earned a name yet. I was just the kid looking for Beck stuff all the time.
Yep. You with your trench coat and long hair. We always knew. Yeah. You're the Beck kid. So, but again, we would always look for Tracy would always try to find stuff for you or whatever. But yeah, that's funny. I remember that. So this is the Tim that I met after this life-changing event.
And again, this leads me to the next record, and it's your turn, but the 1-2 punch of Mellow Gold and the next one that I show is, again, these are just foundational shifts in my life that, I mean, I can trace, meeting my wife to all for all of this stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay. You got some big hitters coming up.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it, because I know we're going late here. And I knew this one was going to go late because these are good stories. But I just so 92, when this is
that's 1994. I don't know if I said that. That was 94 for me.
So, which is great because again, 92, the 90s were just amazing. I'm looking at my list. It was really, really hard to pick from these albums. I kept.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just noticed we have a whole bunch of comments. Let me throw these up.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So, we got a top 5. Here we go. Number 5.
Figured out Alapalooza.
Nice. All right. Number 4.
I don't know.
I don't know that one.
My parents played Billy Joel and Neil Diamond. That's what I grew up in the backseat of the car listening to, and Willie Nelson. And I have PTSD for all of those. Ooh, John Cupper to Heart. Now you're talking. I know the soundtracks extremely well.
So I know, not my scene. These guys are definitely not my cup of hip hop tea. This is sort of the stuff that started sounding like the stuff I wasn't super interested in. But number 1 is kind of amusing to me because I remember when the first Tupac record came out, Tupacalypse Now, and the video that they were showing on UMTV Raps was called Trapped, and I knew of him because he was in Digital Underground, and I liked Digital Underground. So I bought the first Tupac record based on that one song and based on the fact that he was in Digital Underground. And I was so disappointed in that record that I was just no. There was too much on there that sounded a little more polished than what I liked.
Is the Humpty Dance the Digital Underground? Was it the sound laid down by the Underground?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
But yeah, so just it's funny to see Tupac. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I realized that we were way behind.
It's funnier too because I have the tripod for my camera blocked the 2 in Tupac, and I'm like, what, Pac-Man Greatest Hits? I'm I'm unfamiliar with this one.
I had Pac-Man Fever, that record with all the video game songs on it.
Yeah. But yeah, 90s for me, I'm just an incredible time of music. That is really, I was anticipating albums, they were coming out, going to see bands, and then you joined in that fun as well. I felt like we were going to see shows. I felt like almost every night of the week, even some nights going to see two shows. I remember go to Hoboken to see to see Mises at Maxwell's, then going into New York to see the Archers of Loaf somewhere else. Just crazy time. So this was hard because again, all great albums, but just kind of more nothing changed. I was on that path and I was just getting everything. And this is the one record that I could not find. Okay. In 1995, there was a 7-inch from a Texas band called Jill. Scary Thoughts 7-inch on Springbox Records. And I looked for this. I can't believe that I would have gotten rid of this.
This is the one with Fozzy on it, right?
This is the one with Fozzy on the cover. And again, at this time, I guess maybe internet was probably a thing, right? At this time, but it was
not for me. Not for me.
I don't know, like, or maybe like trying to contact someone over the internet was probably impossible.
Yeah.
So I was still writing letters anytime I got a record that I liked. And apparently I was putting my phone number in the records or in the letters, which I don't know why I was doing that, but I did get lots of people calling apparently. Like Adam from Jawbreaker called and left a message for me one day. And then from this band Jill, Danny Dunlop from San something, Texas, called me. San Angelo, Texas. Thank you. And yeah, we chatted. I don't remember exactly what we talked about, but we became friends. And you know, they had a CD EP, which I think he sent. They were recording new stuff, and again, we became really good friends. Like, you know, my band at the time, his band, like we released a split record together, split 7-inch. They came to New Jersey and played some shows here. Yeah. And then at a time where kind of like my life was like kind of crumbling, like my band kind of broke up. I got dumped, you know, like I was in a bad place. He was like, hey, why don't you come on tour with us? So again, like if I had not got this record, I never would have got in touch with him. And then he would have never had the opportunity to kind of pull me out of like a low point in my life. And I went on tour with them just as like a roadie, drove the van, you know, sold their merch and helped load in, load out. But it was such an amazing experience. I had so much fun that when I came back from that, I was like completely rejuvenated, like healed all over, like felt like I just felt great. And I was like super inspired. Like we met, we hung out with the Parasites, hung out with the guys from Zoinks, like all of these other bands on that trip. And it's funny because as I was digging, trying to find this record, I found my tour journal. I would keep a journal like of all the shows, all the places. And it's like, I was reading through it. I should have grabbed it to talk about, but there's like one night I'm like, oh, amazingly, no ska bands tonight. It's all emo. You know? Like the sound system doesn't work. There's no microphone, but yeah. So this record was what kind of branched that path for me, where I made a great friend, had a great time, great experience. Maybe not like super life changing, but a life saving at the time for what I needed. So, and I can't believe I don't have, I know I gave you like everything, but I thought I saved some 7-inches somewhere and I just couldn't find it.
I don't know. I don't know.
But it was tough. This was a tough one because again, there was a lot of records that came out that I had to think like, did it change my life? Well, like it was an amazing record and I love it, but it didn't impact my life. So this was something that came out that I felt directly impacted me and, you know, the person that I am.
All right. So my next one is like, again, that 1-2 punch with Beck. And you talked a little bit about how did we even find bands back then?
Yeah.
I found a lot of them because of compilation albums.
Mm-hmm.
When I was learning about indie rock, punk rock, alternative rock, whatever, compilations were hugely important to me.
I think I might have a guess on this one.
There's no possible way.
No, it's not the one. Okay, let's see what you got.
What do you think it is?
It's not like something like the DG, the rarities or whatever.
DGC rarities? No, it's not. I love that is a big one for me, but no. That's the reason. That's how I discovered Weezer, though. That record.
Okay.
My friend in high school, Dave, had this record, and he gave this to me to borrow. And this was one of those things where I'm like, who are these bands? I've never heard of any of these bands. I don't like what this is on a label. Like, I don't understand what this is on some sort of, like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. Like, what is this? What's happening? And I'm a little embarrassed that I don't have this on vinyl. I still only have like my CD copy, but this is the third Kill Rock Stars compilation, Rock Stars Kill.
Okay.
And it has like 20 bands on it. And this, more than any of these records, I would love for you to listen to this record.
Yeah, I should go back because like I skipped the K stuff. There was, I think I heard some, like they had, was it like Bikini Kill or whatever they had?
Well, that's
like
Kill Rock Stars, yeah, but Bikini Kill, Bratmobile, like that kind of stuff.
Kind of kept me away from a lot of that at the time.
Yeah, I that was one of the first places that I sort of fell into, was like the K Kill Rock Stars. Like I started listening to Unwound from a friend, like Fits of Depression, Godhead Silo, Carp, like those kind of bands.
That's also simpler then, yeah. So
that's also how I fell into Link as well, because of that, and because Sam Jane was on the Beck record, One Foot in the Grave. So actually, Link is probably how I started finding some of those bands. But before any of that happened, we got this compilation, and let me read you off like the rogues gallery of bands on this.
Okay, let's hear it.
The Tourettes, Cupid Car Club, Star Power, The Boredoms, Helium, Spinanes, Team Dresch, Mukilteo Fairies, God is My Co-Pilot, Severed Lethargy, Rancid, Free Kitten, The Universal Order of Armageddon, The Peaches, Star Pimp, Pell Mell, Smog, Star Sign Scorpio, Hattie Fatteners, Grouse Mountain Skyride.
Sounds like you're just making stuff up at this point.
Fifth Column, Fleabag, and Kathleen Hanna.
Okay. I've heard of like maybe, I don't know, 40-50% of those.
Yeah, me too. Because a lot of these other bands didn't have, like, I don't think they ever put anything else out. But a handful of these, like the Peaches, when you first met me, I know you know that like that was one of my favorite bands. Like they only had out some 7-inches at the time. You know, the Spinanes is one that like I fell in love with because of this, and like I still think the Spinanes are absolutely incredible. The Smog song on here is so awesome, and I bought 3 Smog records trying to find any songs half as good as this one, and nothing. I don't like any of that stuff. And this is probably the only Rancid song that I like, is the one.
I didn't even know Rancid had a song on there. What song is it?
It's called Brixton.
I don't think I know that one.
I know a new generation coming. Oh no, the smoke.
I was never a huge Rancid fan. I wanted to like them, but I just couldn't. Like, it wasn't.
I don't like them, but this song rules. But anyway, like again, this is one of the major impetuses for me to start going to independent record stores. And the very first time I went to Flipside, I came home with records kind of inspired by this. Like I bought a Team Dresch CD while I was there, and some other stuff kind of that ilk. Because my friend Pat, he's the one who brought me to Flipside, because that was the story. And he's the one who turned me on to like Unwound and Archers of Loaf and who else? I don't know. Carl Hendricks Trio. Pat was the reason why I started listening to the Carl Hendricks Trio. And it's funny because my freshman year of high school, which was in 1991, while I was very much only listening to hip hop, Pat gives me a copy of Nevermind and says, and this is before they had blown up or anything like that. He'd give this to me. He goes, "You should listen to this. I think you might like this." And I listened to it and I gave it back to him like, "This is terrible. What do you like? No one is ever going to like, what is wrong with you? No, like this, come on, give me a break." And then seriously, like 4 months later, they were the biggest band in the entire world, which of course, then I think I think Pat was a little too cool for that after that happened. So, you know, they felt
I'm with you on that, Pat. I felt it because again, I went back and I was looking at like things like Jane's Addiction, Red Hot Chili Peppers, you know, Nirvana and stuff, but I get it.
Yeah, but Pat was a really big influence because again, and he got me to Flipside. And that's where I met you. And, you know, not for nothing, you became an extremely important person for me as far as like musical influence. You turned me onto a lot of bands, and it was pretty much driven by two conversations. Musically, I asked you about the Mr. T experience one day.
Oh, so that was our Tree People moment, probably.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yep.
I asked you about the Mr. T experience because I had a song on a compilation that I really liked. And I'm like, hey, do you know anything about this? And you were like, do I know anything about this?
Oh, that's totally like, yeah. And then you got a name.
Yeah, and then the reason why we actually started becoming friends was because one day I was in there looking for records, and you were talking to these two other guys, and you were talking about Star Wars toys. And I was like,
Oh, okay.
wait, what? Like, nobody likes, like, again, because this is like 1994, 1995. Like, nobody gave a crap about Star Wars at that moment in time. So I very purposefully muscled my way into that conversation because I desperately wanted to talk about Star Wars with somebody.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we became friends.
Yeah, and I know the one dude's name was Gil. I can't remember his last name. And I want to say that I remember those guys, and I don't know if I'm remembering this exact conversation, but they were the ones that would always come in and we'd always talk about that crap. So yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, then you knew it was meant to be. You were in a good place. So awesome.
But like, again, I can't listen to that Kill Rock Stars record all the way through. There's a lot of stuff on there that's not my scene. But the ones that I liked back then, I still really like. And even though, other than the Peaches, none of those groups ever really got and Spinanes, none of those groups really ever stuck with me past those songs on that comp. But those were big. And funny enough, the Peaches actually became the first band I ever interviewed for my college.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that again, it was very, and that was the song that Peachy song was my favorite song on there from like the first second I heard it. So very important.
I forgot how like critical compilations really were. Mm-hmm. Like you would buy it and you would hope to find like, give me a couple other bands.
I remember I had this one called like Hotel Massachusetts that I found a couple bands on. There was this one called Buy This Used CD. It was like a Dutch East India comp. And it had Gimme Indie Rock by Sebadoh on there and stuff like that. But like I bought so many compilations, like trying to find new stuff.
Yeah, I used to have these like hardcore cassettes that, again, it's hardcore bands. So there's probably like 800 bands on one cassette because each song, but again, you'd maybe get like a couple songs that you really liked and you'd try to find those bands. So, and like you said, some of these bands, this was like the only thing they ever released was like one song on a comp. But.
And again, this is for me, like I didn't get my first email address until I was in a freshman in college in like 1995. Like I never had a computer growing up. I didn't know anyone really who had computers. The internet wasn't really a thing because like I didn't know anyone had AOL. Like my high school, my senior year had a BBS, but like the internet didn't exist. The very first time I ever went on the internet was at a girlfriend's house. And the first thing I did was try to find out what other records Beck had that I didn't know about.
Was there any information?
Yeah, a little bit. I found out he had a demo tape that I didn't know about, which I've never really tracked down. Like I have a copy of it, but I never found that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, like the email addresses and like how internet was all new, because my next one is going to jump into 1997. And this one, I think the internet was probably budding around then or whatnot, but it's funny because I actually posted something on Facebook about this album because this
I saw that and I was like, spoiler, jerk.
But I don't know if you saw the response, and that's what you made me just think of it when you talked about the email was well, let me tell the story and then I'll come to that. So remember I talked about Lenny, the Sinkhole tape, him getting demos all the time at the record store. He also got a 4-song Green Day demo, which he would not let me have. I wanted that so bad. That had like When I Come Around, and had all like their major label stuff. But man, he gave me a copy of it. But like like I wanted that
the thing
so badly. But now let's fast forward. So 1997, you and I are running a record label, Pop Kid Records, and we're getting demos.
I was helping stuff some 7 inches at that time,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was
You're
helping.
employee number one, right? So, and I'm starting to get demos, and like Lenny, who would listen to them, and then kind of like they weren't good. A lot of the stuff that I got just wasn't the kind of sound that I was into.
Yeah.
And then I got a CD one day, and I remember like I grabbed it with me, and like I listened to it in the car. Like I'm like, oh, CD, I'll play it in the car, because I don't even know if I still have a tape. I must have had a tape deck in the car in '97. I don't know, but I had a CD player, which was hot stuff. So I put the CD in, and this one I thought was really funny because we talked about like the purpose of this was music that changed the direction of our lives, and I literally changed direction when I listened to this. And this is the first album from Beeswax, A Dozen Summits here. So this came in.
Let me just throw in a little plug here. It is being put out on vinyl for the very first time right now by Sellout and Boss Tunage. They are taking pre-orders now. My pre-order is in. So
I wonder if I should probably get one of these, because this album is just effing great. And like, imagine my surprise to just get something, first of all, from Norway.
Yeah,
came in, and I put it in my car, I listened to it, and I was just like, boom, like, oh my God, this is incredible. I need to go home and get the tape that was sent with this that had the extra songs. So this seriously changed my direction immediately. So melodic, incredible songwriting, and incredible hooks. I went home, got the tape, and like, just like, I knew I had to release something by them. So really cool that Pop Kid was able to release, an album like a year or two later. I think A Dozen
99.
Yeah. But the email thing was funny because when I posted about this, and Kenneth Ishak, or Isaac, I've never said that right in all these years, 30 years later, but he was telling me that he posted about how like he had a job in his office and had access to email. And I guess he kept going in, waiting to see if he got a reply or anything. And again, this is just another pivot point for me that just changed my life, brought new people into my life, new experiences, and getting to know Kenneth and getting to release that record on Pop Kid, which I still think is one of the best records of all time. Like that record's amazing. I still think this band should have taken over the world, and I think they did achieve a lot. But from the time I heard this, I'm like, this band is going to go places and do things. And I'm very fortunate to have become friends with Kenneth. We've got to meet him in person and see him play, and just such a direction change for me, even with Pop Kid, to get something like this in the mail and be like, I have to release a record for you. Prior to this, it was like chasing other things around, but this is the first thing that came to me.
I remember when you got the record for the first time, the South of Boredom, and because it was sort of complicated to copy things like that at that point. So like I didn't have it for a while, and we were doing the radio show.
This one or South of Boredom?
South of Boredom. No, you had gotten the recordings of South of Boredom.
Got it. Okay.
You had gotten the recordings, and this is when we were both doing radio shows. So I remember that I used to call all the time, like from the butcher shop, and just go, play the hit. You got to play the hit, which was in the stands.
Yeah.
Which was in the stands. So I have very fond memories of that, and that's really kind of one of the times where like I really started doing more with you with Pop Kid stuff when that record came out. We got it. We sent it to college radio, that and the Star Market record. We got those going to college radio. When they were in town, I was at most of those shows and like helped you kind of drag them around and stuff like that.
Yep.
So that's kind of when I became like a little more important in Pop Kid land. That's funny. That's an interesting place to stop. I had a really hard time with the fifth one, and these are not honorable mentions, but I wrestled with a lot of things. Like that second Chopper 7-inch,
Yep.
The one with Not Perfect on it.
Mhm.
That blew open that entire UK scene to me, which became probably the most important scene I ever listened to.
Led us to the UK, you know.
Yeah. And granted, I had heard Snuff before then, but I heard Chopper before I heard Leatherface. Like Chopper was that band. Like I think you played me Chopper because I liked Snuff. And like through there, that blows open the whole Japan scene for me, which became again also ultra important. So that's one of those very pivotal ones that I sort of like thought about. And like there's just a bunch of stuff, you know, and a bunch of records that I just love. And
I feel like that was a sneaky honorable mention, but
it's not. It's not because like I could also say, you know, like Pavement being like profoundly important, but they don't necessarily bring me to a whole lot of places other than just sort of indie rock in general. So there's like lots of stuff like that, and I really wrestled. And what I decided was my last record didn't necessarily push me somewhere musically, but really kind of reinforced what became a very bad habit.
Oh no.
And that record is the Rocket from the Crypt singles compilation, All Systems Go. The reason, now don't get me wrong, this is an amazing record that has like some incredible songs on it. But the reason why I consider it so influential,
so small,
is this. The picture of all of the 7-inches that made up this record. Which again, this is something that I didn't, the 7-inch thing, like wasn't really a thing so much in hip hop. Like I didn't know what, that didn't make sense to me. And Beck had a couple, but not really. Most of the Beck stuff, because he was pretty much on a major label. So he was also doing CD singles, cassette singles. This 7-inch thing was sort of new-ish to me. And the fact that there was something I could collect,
collector's guide, look at that,
that wasn't readily available. This one, it sparked a lot of like record collecting in general. It's not like I didn't buy 7-inches before this, because Rocket from the Crypt was not like they were among the first bands that I found that I started liking, although it wasn't until I saw them live that I realized, oh my goodness, they are the best band that has ever walked the face of the earth. Joe found Rocket from the Crypt on the Merge compilation, 5 Rows of Teeth, my friend Joe. And he liked that song a lot, which I didn't at the time. It didn't connect with me. So he bought Circa Now, let me borrow Circa Now. I liked Circa Now. I did. And now that's my favorite Rocket from the Crypt record. At the time, I liked that record. I'm like, this is good. And then when I saw them live, crazy. But anyway, that made me an obsessive record collector in general, and very specifically created a monster as far as Rocket from the Crypt records goes. Because what they don't tell you in this little list here
is how many exist.
Is these are the easy ones.
Oh,
they had stuff that wasn't on here that was way crazier. They don't tell you that there's 11 versions of the Boy Trucker 7-inch floating around out there. And I decided to make it my life's mission to hunt down everything Rocket from the Crypt ever released. And I still have not done it, because there's
I think they told you on that list, like no one would take up the challenge. They'd be like, oh, forget it. It's too much.
But I have so many Rocket from the Crypt records, so many variants, like multiple copies of pretty much everything they've ever put out. You know, I am one of the preeminent Rocket from the Crypt collectors on the planet.
And this is it. This is what did it.
This is what did it. And, you know, like through this, I started working with them when I worked in the music industry, when I did radio promotion. That's how I met John Reese, Speedo, as he's known in Rocket from the Crypt. He often refers to me as kind of like an archivist type person about the band. You know, I have 80 Rocket from the Crypt t-shirts, you know, like it's deep.
It's a slippery slope from archivist to like crazy person.
I am a crazy person, and that's why I'm preparing for the moment where I'm called upon to help lead a Rocket from the Crypt museum installation. Like I'm ready for that. Like that's my lot in life. Someday
you'll
I'll
have
get that call.
Collection on loan from Tim. Yep. Very cool.
So that record with that list in there was big, and you probably don't remember this.
Okay.
But of this list, I got 4 of the 6 of them from you by trading you my Imperial shuttle.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I trade. I hope you're still happy with.
Well, again, had I known that these weren't the hard ones to find, I probably would.
But who knew?
But like, they were hard then, because again, pre-internet, pre-Discogs, pre-eBay, like it would have taken me a while to find those back then.
Yeah. Did I give you the picture disc? Because I thought I had that at one point. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty funny.
You gave me the picture disc. You gave me the Sub Pop one. You gave me the split with Deadbolt, and you gave me Pure Genius. You did not have the first one, and you didn't have the merge one, probably because that was not that old. I probably had, or maybe you had that and I didn't need that. Maybe I already had that one. I don't know.
And funny enough, guess who got me into Rocket from the Crypt?
Tracy?
No, it was Lenny Splendorio.
Oh,
like, again, we went to see them at Maxwell's at one time. Yeah, again, like he was my musical influence, my first one that really got me into a lot of this stuff. He was a huge Rocket from the Crypt fan.
So I know we're running really over, and I wanted to, again, I'm not calling this an honorable mention, but I think there's one other record that's very important to both of us, because I think it defines the moment that the pendulum shifted, and I became the person bringing stuff to you more than you bringing stuff to me.
I wonder if this is the one I'm thinking of. Okay.
It probably is. New people make us nervous.
I listen to that record every single day. I kid you not. There's not a day goes by that I do not listen to that record.
It's by a band called The Statues, a band from Canada. When I was working in the music industry, I dealt with a Canadian station called CJLO, and the music director there, Omar, knew how much I liked Bum, and he knew how much I liked like that kind of like just snappy power pop kind of stuff. And he said, "Oh, you're gonna like this record." So I was like, "Okay, cool, I'll give it a shot." And I loved it. And I remember forcing you to listen to it in my Montclair apartment. Like I made you like, "No, you have to listen to this." And when that woo hits off, like you freaked out.
Yeah, I only know like the version I have that you said has songs that were, I guess, maybe not on the album originally or whatever.
Well, on the CD. They're on the CD, but they're not on the vinyl version.
Oh, just like I can't tell you how much I love that one. I don't. How old is that record now?
It's 2007, so not only 18 years ago.
Yeah, it sucks that Holiday Cops or whatever they released after that was just like
it was not as dynamic. But
it's just so tight, so punchy, so like they everything on it. That's the band. I wish I could be in a band. That is the band I want to be in. But good time. So that's a good honorable mention. I know again. I've 2 that I just want to laugh about with you because they almost made my list. 1993 Pennywise Unknown Road almost made my list. And do you want to know why? I remember going to Pure Platters to get it. And I listened to it and I said, I hate this. Like, I don't want any more bands. Bad Religion. I have Bad Religion. So that was what made me realize like that Fat Wreck sound. Like all those Lagwagon bands, like I'm like, I can't stand it. So that was like kind of changed, like helped me focus a little bit. And then the last one I had on my list was 1994 Weezer's Blue Album. And the reason I had this, I needed this. This was like I don't know what this was. I was hanging out with these dudes. I don't know if you remember like Charles Maggio from Rorschach, and he ran Gern Blanstein Records. And then there was Mike Simonetti, who ran Trouble Man Records. Like, these were Tracy's friends. I was just like the little kid in the back seat. They were all older than me. A little bit. And Major League, can you still hear me? Am I still here?
Oh, you're back.
Okay. So amazing. They were freaking out at this record. How it was. For me, I might have been a little like stupid up to that point where like, major label stuff sucks. So that really opened my eyes to really just to not be a douche and just to appreciate, if it was good, just appreciate it and not get hung up on that stuff. But those were two things that were potentials on my list.
That it's funny because I remember you and I had a conversation about Pinkerton before it came out, because you had a copy of that from the record store and I had a copy of that from my school newspaper before it came out. And I remember kind of talking with you at Flipside and got kind of like meekishly, like not sure if I could, we're losing Alan. I wasn't sure if it was cool enough to bring up Weezer because, because I know how popular they were, but I remember just being like, hey, have you heard that new Weezer record? Because it's pretty incredible. And you were like, oh yeah, like not only is that record great, like all of their stuff is great. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's okay for me to like them. I'm not going to lose punk points.
But I needed that too. Like, I needed to see like people that I kind of looked up to that say that it was okay, because I was kind of like being douchey, or like whatever it was. Like you said, like, oh, is it cool to talk about this and you just don't know? But yeah, Pinkerton, 96, that was on my short list, but it didn't change my life. But no. Man, it was a great record.
Yeah, that was good stuff. But again, that like no sellout thing was like, that was ingrained with me from like the second I started listening to hip hop. And then when I started listening to the punk stuff, I'm like, oh, it's even worse over here. Like, these people are even crazier about it.
Yep, definitely. I remember one dude breaking that major label Jawbreaker record, buying it, listening to it, and then breaking it, because which I've gone back to. I've always liked that record. I think I appreciate it a lot more now. So cool.
At this point, it's oddly one of their more popular records for whatever reason. I still think it's a little too slick, personally. But I don't know. It's my third favorite record of theirs.
Yeah. And I thought for sure Jawbreaker would make it on this list, but again, nothing super life-changing. Like, they were introduced to me as a band and I love them. I love their records, but they didn't change the trajectory of my life at all. So
yeah,
good stuff. Good times.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that'll probably wrap things up. This was a lot of fun. I feel like, Alan, we could probably have like 7 more hours of conversation about this, but I don't think we need to force anybody else to listen to that. No,
but we need to listen to each other's stuff. So we'll have to coordinate that.
Well, some of that stuff I don't need to listen to of yours. Like I'm well aware of, Jill and like things like that. But
I know you've heard like all this stuff before too. So
well, I've heard it, but like not in a long time, and it was never anything that I really liked. So actually, that's something I would want to try to listen to with fresher ears.
Yeah. Firehose, Minutemen, Black Flag, Meatmen.
The only thing I can really say about the Minutemen is I had a comp album of Minutemen songs called "Our Band Could Be Your Life," a tribute to D Boon and the Minutemen. That's where I discovered Overwhelming Color Fast.
Oh, it was the tribute one. I got it. Yeah.
The tribute one. Okay. So Overwhelming Color Fast was on there.
There you go. Compilations. Awesome. Yeah, this was fun. Good times.
Yeah. So
I'm done.
We will see everybody. Yeah, we will see everybody next week. I'm not positive what we're going to talk about next week, but then after that is New York Comic Con. So we got some of that conversation coming our way pretty soon.
Okay. Lighter topics for us. This one was a lot of digging. Awesome. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Good to chat, Tim, and I'll see y'all later.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Perfectly excellent.